our next presenter, which is Defiance Silver Corp. Defiance has silver properties in a major historic mining district in Mexico, as well as a copper gold project. Presenting will be Chris Wright, the chairman and CEO, and Doug Cavey, VP Corporate Development. Gentlemen, you have 15 minutes to present. Take it away.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you everybody for your interest today and joining this Silver Summit. Just to get started, we will be making some forward-looking statements, and so please acquaint yourself with the terms of that. And the presentation is available on our website for your review. As Tim mentioned, we do have two projects in Mexico. First is our legacy Zacatecas Silver camp asset. It is located in the Zacatecas state, in geographically central Mexico. It came to the company with the San Nicasio project, being our flagship asset at the time, back in 2011, with a 750 hectare land package and a small starter resource of approximately 17 million ounces of silver. The project has definitely grown over the years, notably with some transactions in 2018 with Mag Silver, and most recently with an option agreement we signed in 2020 with Pan American Silver. This has grown our land package in the camp to be the second largest held by any one company at 4,300 hectares. We own each of these concessions either 100% or we have the option to acquire 100%. And in the instances where there are royalties on the property, we have the right to repurchase those, with the exception of the Pan American transaction that we did in 2020, where they retain a 2% NSR. This is a very historic camp, has been actively mined for nearly 500 years. There's lots of infrastructure. And is very culturally accepted in the area. Since we got involved, and since Defiance has been owning the property, and since 2014, we've drilled approximately 25,000 meters, and that has yet to be tabled into any new resource model, which is on the to-do list. The other project that we have is located in the state of Michoacan, is our Tapal gold copper project. It's also a very advanced stage project. There is a pre-feasibility study that was done in 2012. Two PEAs that have been tabled on the project. The latest was updated in 2017. So a little bit stale dated as of yet, but still some very interesting economics and significantly lower commodity prices than we see in today's market. It is a large resource at 1.8 million ounces measured in the indicated gold resource, and more than 800 million pounds of copper. We own this property 100% outright, have entered into an agreement last year to expand the land ownership around the project, more than doubling it. And we struck a deal to reacquire the NSR on the property. In the spirit of full disclosure, we did have some news come out on Tapal earlier this summer, an unforeseen event where we were a victim of some fraud, and there were unknown groups in Mexico had forged some documentation and tried to force through the transfer of some of the concessions through the mining ministry. Fortunately, we caught on to this, and we're currently working with the government and through the court system to reinstate the full ownership in Defiance's name. And I'm very confident that this will end up being the case. Unfortunately, can't give a timeline with any level of confidence at this point, simply because it is in the court system. But I'm sure we'll get some questions about that in the end. Regardless of that, we are starting forward as a very robust resource base at both projects. We believe there's a lot of upside through the drill bit. We've had a wholesale change in management and our technical team since I got involved actively on a day-to-day basis with the company in 2019. Doug and the OrQuest team have come in to run the technical side of the operation. They have a long and very successful track record in Mexico, and we're thrilled to have them be part of our projects. Both projects have a lot of leverage to the underlying commodity prices. I think that goes without saying for, I think every one of the presenters today will tell you that their projects have torque to the commodity prices. We do too believe that, and as we run through some of the numbers and the sensitivity, you'll see what we're talking about. We do have a very strong shareholder base. Our firm, Windermere Capital, is the largest shareholder and has been since 2014. We continue to work with the company now on a more active day-to-day basis than we have, in the early stages. Through the last 2 years, we've had some success in terms of capital raises with the help of Red Cloud Securities. Done two raises, brought in a number of brand name institutional shareholders, and there's been quite a bit of activity of late of insider buying. So we're starting off from a very strong shareholder base. And what's nice about what's happening in the last couple of years with a bit of a turn up in the sector is that we're able to be more active. We're actively drilling at both San Acacio and the Lucita package, which was acquired from Pan American Silver. And Doug will walk you through the progress that we've been making there. The capital structure is quite straightforward. We have no debt. We have about 221 million shares outstanding. 262 million fully diluted. There are some warrants that are in the money going off the board later this week, which is going to change that outstanding share number somewhat. So we'll have an update for that next week. The cash balance is still quite strong. We're sitting at just under $12 million, which will take care of our exploration budget for the next 12 and up to 18 months, depending on how aggressively we go at it. We're trying to manage a very cautious budget given this capital market environment. We think that being prudent is with the cash on hand is the best way to proceed. And with that in mind, I will turn it over to Doug to walk you through the exploration work that's been going on at Zacatecas.
Great. Thank you, Chris. And thanks to the other presenters and to Red Cloud, of course, for getting us all together here to talk about what we, I think, share in commonality or common belief is going into these old and very, very productive districts and using modern exploration to test very productive, very prolific structures that have been some of the most important mining jurisdictions in the world. I'm sandwiched between two companies that have remarkable projects and are delivering exceptional results. And so it's wonderful that we get to have this stage, but I think the big thing to focus in on is what we're doing, and that's mineral systems geoscience. And it's the same with Southern Silver, it's the same with Reina, it's the same with Silver Viper, it's the same with Oryx. It's looking at what is the primary driver for production of these type of minerals in Mexico. And so Zacatecas, of course, does sit at the forefront of mining, particularly silver mining in Mexico. So as everybody's probably very, very familiar with, Mexico is the largest silver producing country in the world, and Zacatecas is the largest silver producing state in the world. Some of the largest discoveries for silver mineralized systems have been in Zacatecas in the last 10, 15, 20 years. And I believe that there's a lot more to be found using these modern mineral systems geoscience techniques. So we are located in Zacatecas. Our closest neighbor is Capstone's Cozamin mine. It's a large underground operation that will be doubling their production in the next 5 years. They produce copper for 90 cents a pound underground. They have 1,000 meters of mineralization defined at that system. And we can see their mill from our property. Just across the valley is the Fresnillo mining complex, which is the world's largest primary silver mining complex. And next door to that is Mag Silver's Juanicipio mine, which will be the largest primary silver mine in the next 12 months. Why those are very important for both the model of exploration, but the model of success and the model of driving returns is that these were all exploration discoveries in the last 2 decades, or in the case of Fresnillo in the last 4 decades. So jurisdiction is key. We're in the largest silver mining jurisdiction in Mexico. Largest contributor to GDP of the state of Zacatecas is mining. And the most recent operating mine, the most recent gold mine to be permitted in Mexico is Orla Mining's Camino Rojo project, which was an exploration discovery in the early 2000s, and that is in production now. It's about 2 hours north of us. We're about 100 kilometers away from Pan American Silver's flagship silver mine, La Colorada, which if you followed the news from the last couple of weeks, they just put out a drill hole, which was 250 meters of 650 grams silver and 25% combined lead zinc. So a lot of exploration success happening in this district, but then a lot of production success. And that leads to a deep cultural understanding of the role that natural resources play in the economies of the state and in the economies of the city, particularly around Zacatecas, Fresnillo, and Sombrerete. As Chris said, we have a variety of ownership of our assets. We either outright own them 100% or we have an option to acquire them 100%. The only property in our entire portfolio where we don't have an agreement in place to purchase the NSR, to repurchase the NSR, is the Pan American Silver Ground, which is the most recent news that we put out on the property in the last 6 months, where we've had a lot of focus of our drilling campaigns there. Small starter resource, we've got about 25,000 meters that's been done, drilling that's been done since that resource was tabled, and that has defined a much larger envelope of mineralization outside of the historical workings, the historical production phases, and of course the current resource estimate that was done well before any drilling that Defiance did on the property. This district is arguably the most important silver mining jurisdiction in the world. As I mentioned, Fresnillo, Mag Silver, but the Zacatecas district, which kind of sits like this quiet stepchild, has produced 1 billion ounces of silver. In any other jurisdiction in the world, that would be, or any other mining jurisdiction in the world, that would be considered tier one production facility or tier one mining jurisdiction. Until 1960, Fresnillo really was the driving force of the district. And in 1960, they ran out of ore and they switched focus and started to do district scale exploration, this mineral systems geoscience, what Rob was talking about earlier, which I'm sure what Lauren will talk about in the presentation from Reno, which Steve will talk about, which Ben's going to talk about. It's where are these camps and what are the productive structures and why did they lead to such prolific development and mining? This is a 500-year-old mining jurisdiction, so we know that there are very productive structures, but there's been a paucity of modern exploration, particularly in the Zacatecas district, since Fresnillo found Santo Niño. So as I said, Santo Niño or the exploration campaigns that were done after Fresnillo ran out of ore in the 1960s led to some discoveries, and that really kicked off a 40-year prolific exploration and development campaign that turned Fresnillo from a 1 billion ounce silver camp or 750 million ounce silver camp into its current 7 or 8 billion ounce production silver camp. Until Fresnillo had found the Santo Niño veins, the Zacatecas district had produced more silver than Fresnillo. But as a result of a variety of factors, one of them being a lack of international exploration, a lack of development from, this is pre-NAFTA that these discoveries were made. Zacatecas kind of suffered from a paucity of modern exploration, where Fresnillo got a lot of money pumped into it. And then most recently, discoveries made by Dr. McGod and the rest of the Mag Silver team taking a grassroots, effectively our brownfields property, into the world's largest primary silver mine. So it's a great model to use because it's tested and it's in the same rocks that we're in. And so we've been using that model and we have been delivering some pretty fantastic results over the past year and a half. So discovery-focused geoscience works, but you need a land package to put it together. And that's one of the reasons that the Zacatecas district really had struggled from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It kind of looked like grandma's quilt. There's a patchwork kind of ownership of licenses, and it still somewhat looks like that. But we identified large land packages and started to put them together because owning, as much ground as possible covering productive structures is key to making discoveries. So in 2020, we approached Pan American Silver, and we had worked with them in the past. So we had sort of a friendly entry, and we entered into an option agreement to purchase the Lucita property. I'm very pleased with the results that we've put out on that Lucita first pass drilling program. It's never been drilled before. It's in the shadows of a 150 million ounce historic producing mine. It's in a jurisdiction that is very favorable for mine development. And because of a variety of factors, Pan American wasn't able to drill this, and they've owned this property since the 1980s. Some of our first holes into this property were some of the highest grade silver drill holes that were drilled in the Zacatecas district in the last 20 years. But one particular thing that we're quite intrigued about, and I think this really ties into the Fresnillo model, is that this last release that we put out identified multiple styles of mineralization that are controlled by large regional structures and may be not so much the controlling structures to the system, but what could be representative of these large systems where you have these multiple styles of mineralization. So we'll continue to drill. We'll continue to advance Lucita Central as well alongside of our northern kind of more grassroots blocks that are being drilled by Zacatecas Silver right on our property boundary. We have the main Veta Grande area. And that main Veta Grande area is one of the most well-known mining districts in Mexico. It's about 10 kilometers away from the city center. You drive to it on a paved road. There's power on site. It's a 150 million ounce historical producer. We've done 25,000 meters of drilling outside of the resource estimates, never been updated since then. And we've had tremendous success in the last 18 months at defining a well-developed mineral system below the existing resource area, in some places 200+ meters below that area. And we continue to test that systematically down plunge to define the limits of the mineral system, because you only get silver, you only get minerals in, certain, they only play nice in certain areas. And once you can find those, you can develop these ore shoots, or you can outline these ore shoots and then really, bulk up your mineral resource estimates. So we're currently expanding on this main Veta Grande area where the historical production, historical infrastructure, power, as I said, paved roads on site. There's over 25,000 tons of milling capacity within 50 kilometers. So a lot of optionality with these properties. They're typically quite high grade, and we've found that throughout the drilling that we've done in the main Veta Grande area. And as I said, we can see that footprint of the mineral system to be much larger than the resource estimate that was done in 2014. So what are we trying to do in Zacatecas is not trying to reinvent the wheel. Doing what works, doing this mineral systems geoscience, putting the smartest people that we can get our hands on onto the systems, and then drilling, like testing those targets. And if you look at the last 18 months, we've had tremendous success with the drill bit in a very underexplored but very prolific mining jurisdiction in Mexico. And the one thing that's nice is we're fully financed. We have $12 million cash in the bank. We can test this, and we can be flexible in testing what we understand, putting holes into the system as we see fit, following up on holes that may have missed targets. And because of that, we are returning some pretty substantial results into the Mexican space. So the next 12 months is catalyst that we have ongoing. We finished the first pass drilling at Lucita. As I said, put out some pretty substantial results throughout that district. It's a 4 kilometer long vein system that we just tested. Came up with very high grade results across that 4 kilometers, but as well building out on that resource model on the San Nicasio, the Veta Grande, which is the backbone of the system in Zacatecas. There's a lot of surface work that goes on that we're going to keep plugging away, but you can look forward to there being some results out of the Veta Grande, and then leapfrogging back and forth between that and Lucita, as we say, this emerging discovery in this billion-ounce historical silver jurisdiction. And a really good team of people that are doing it right now. We're all very proud of the team that we work with. But as well, I'm just going to give a shout out to everybody else that I'm on this panel with. We have a team of people that are mineral systems explorers that are here, that are making tremendous exploration discoveries, that are looking at these historic jurisdictions where we know there's a lot of production, applying modern systems geoscience to it, and then having tremendous success, as Rob outlined, and I'm sure that Lauren's going to outline, and the rest of my colleagues, Steve and Ben, are going to talk about as we move forward. So keep your eyes peeled for the next 12 months, 18 months at Zacatecas. We think it's a pretty wonderful story and a pretty remarkable jurisdiction to be exploring. And being fully financed gives us a lot of optionality to continue to deliver pretty spectacular results.
Great. Thank you very much, Doug and Chris, for their presentation.